sequel to Trainspotting.
Isn't that called porno?
Oh, that's right. There is a sequel to Trainspotting that was written. This is the second time we've talked about Trainspotting on the podcast, I believe.
Trainspotting's great. I just watched Trainspotting like a month ago.
Yeah, and I was listening to the How Did This Get Made podcast episode about Hacker, starring Johnny Lee Miller, who was Sick Boy in Trainspotting.
Yeah.
Connecting the dots, got my red yarn on my bulletin board.
Wait a minute.
I'm going way over my head, people. We're getting too close to the nerve center of this whole operation.
So not Angelina Jolie Hackers.
No, yeah, that Hackers.
Oh, Hackers, okay.
Yeah, with Johnny Lee Miller.
Johnny Lee Miller, woo!
And Angelina Jolie. Didn't they get married after that movie? Or date? Or
probably.
Something? Yeah.
This probably happened.
Angelina Jolie, always getting married.
I mean, has she just done it twice?
Yeah.
That seems to be like the average going right now.
Yeah.
Like you did okay if you got married twice these days.
But third time's a charm.
Oh.
2 marriages.
Which wife is Trump on?
Yeah.
Which daughter-aged wife is Trump on now?
I don't know. Well, I mean, the next one is probably going to be his daughter.
Yeah.
Because his actual daughter, because of that wonderful quote.
Johnny, do we have the tape? Can we run it back? That's what we need, is just an endless library of referential audio clips.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump marries his daughter, it'll be the only way he'll have sufficiently outshocked us. Like that's gonna be his October surprise right before the election.
And
that will be the best jobs president God ever created.
Yes.
Is the unholy son of Trump and daughter.
God, it'll have like
sister, daughter, sister, daughter.
It'll be shaped like that CG rendering of what King Tut looked like, where he just had so many horrible diseases because he was just so inbred. He was a born leader. That Trump, Donald Trump Jr.
It's already started with his hair. It's probably a few generations deep now.
Yeah, God.
Are you guys going to introduce me?
Yeah, it's Dank as Stubs.
Hey, welcome
back.
to Dank as Stubs.
I am Jerry.
And I'm Aaron. Joining us today
is a man you've no doubt, if you're one of the 10 people who listen to this show, you've no doubt heard this man's name.
Wait, you guys have mentioned me on this fucking show?
Yeah,
we've been wanting to have you on for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was you. Oh,
yeah. So this is our.
I thought you would have heard from my lawyers by now.
This is our racist friend Charlie. He's super racist.
Charlie's super racist. He punched a woman on our way here.
Yeah.
She was Jewish.
and an misogynist and an anti-Semite all in one.
Yeah.
I like how that's not under the umbrella qualifier of racist. Like that's its own thing.
Well, I mean, it's different because it's still a prejudice. But,
yeah.
But it's kind of better than
anti-Semite is for whatever reason given its
gender is different than race, is it not?
Yeah, but Semite is not a gender.
Well, yeah.
Although I want to meet that person whose gender identity is Semite.
All right. Well, besides the fact that I'm racist, I'm also a big fan of movies.
Yeah.
Charlie is. Yeah, Charlie, you were one of the most cinematically inclined young men I know.
He is a cinephiliac.
He is cinephiliac disease.
If you puncture his veins, just movies come out and it won't stop, and he'll eventually die.
Yes.
Yeah.
My blood runs red with, really bad faded celluloid.
It runs vaguely silver.
And fibers from that hat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got my Zissou red cap on.
That's Charlie's signature.
That you can totally hear.
The bibbity boppity cap of
if you ever
of Queen Bitch lyric fame.
Here, let's take a self-photograph, because then,
A selfograph?
Yeah.
Or better yet, like a self Wes Anderson end shot of us walking slowly to 60s pop.
Yeah. That would be nice. Or like some Bowie, like in
I don't want
Aquatic.
the real Dank in the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Let's get the five guys, because we're legally high.
We are not sponsored by anything or anyone.
This is us in the studio. You can't see it, but we just took hella 3 pictures.
We actually don't.
Well, couple coverage just for safety.
We actually don't smoke weed. We just think that the term dank ass nugs was really funny.
Yeah, you brought that my way.
Yeah, just years and years ago, Jerry and I were just in love with the term dank ass nug, and so we just
because you texted me that picture of the dude holding broccoli.
My buddy Rodney posted on.
Oh, you got to meet Rodney someday if he ever comes back from whatever grass hut he's.
He wanted to.
Sounds like a great prop comic.
Rodney.
He's a special guy.
Yeah.
Rodney with his broccoli.
he posted a photo.
Marketing, all right.
Some people were talking about weed. He posted a photo of him holding this giant broccoli floret wrapped in in cellophane and just said, and he posted it with the message, just got this fat fucking nug. And since then, it just just the concept of a dank ass nug was really funny to me. And then at some point that morphed into the decision to name our podcast this pun title, Dank Ass Stubs. Stubs as in ticket stubs, as in seeing a movie.
Well, yeah, because the inaugural episode of Dank Ass Stubs. This is like the mid-season, like the late season episode where they explain the title.
Yeah.
The first episode.
I thought this was like the second or third. I'm just kidding.
A prehistory of the
we've
Far
done
Side.
at least 10 that we've
Gary Larson retrospective.
No, but like we recorded the first half of the podcast on our way to see Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And then we recorded the other half of it when we got out.
Yeah.
And that was the first, and that
it was a very different show before we saw the movie, and after we saw the movie, we became very racist, and that's why Charlie's such a perfect guest.
This is great. I
on
hope
this new iteration.
I
of
hope
the show.
nobody takes you seriously.
Tons of racism.
Yeah. Welcome to Racism Live. If you've got a comment, call
Here's
in.
why I think the title works and why I like Dank Ass Stubs as a title, because describing a movie, or like
come onto our podcast and tell us how much you like the podcast.
I like the title. I don't know if I like the show yet. The title, it's like, you know, the phrase dank ass nugs is really funny because it has so much enthusiasm, so much like Slater from Dazed and Confused enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Just like this dank ass. And like if you see a movie and someone else doesn't see that movie and you try to describe it, like you have that same sort of solipsism, like, oh, this might only be good inside my head. So like I can imagine someone like literally holding their ticket stub, describing it to someone later, like, oh, this is so good. The friend's just like, what? It's just like weed.
Yeah.
The dankest.
It's like, listen, man. It's like I've seen a lot of movies. They just kind of make me paranoid. I can't.
That's all.
My reaction
that's how
time
people
is
talk
really
about
slow
foreign
now.
films.
Yeah.
Which might segue into our.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was a guest and I just made a segue. That was.
Yeah.
Maybe we need you here every time because like usually it takes us a good hour to get.
All right,
to
Chinese
the topic.
fire drill with hosting guest.
In two more episodes, this is going to be the Charlie hour.
Charlie Estes
featuring Aaron and Jerry
for one 10-minute segment that was shortened from 2 hours.
I'm gonna Richter you guys.
That's good. Yeah, no, keep us on track. Keep us on track. Yeah, that's a good segue. Let's take this opportunity.
Yeah.
We just watched a foreign film.
We just watched a film. We just saw the movie that we said how much we want to see in previous episodes.
Yeah.
All roads lead to the future. We saw Goodnight Mommy.
We saw Goodnight Mommy.
We saw Goodnight Mommy.
Good. Everybody is verified. None of us are lying.
Are you now, or have you ever been?
Yeah. Dean is in the studio as well, checking his phone.
Dean in a bitchin' coat that we had a whole debate over.
Yeah.
About American. No, it was not American Apparel. It was what's the store?
Dean.
You can speak.
Dean refused to speak at the beginning of the show.
Dean's silent. Dean
is a deaf.
Doesn't
mute.
want his soul to be captured on the timeline. Dean might never get it back.
Dean took an oath to become a deaf mute because he was way into Catcher in the Rye. Specifically, that one sentence. None of the things that made people commit murder, but just this thing of like, I'm just gonna be a deaf mute. That's the line for that book Dean loved.
Like how people could. Oh, we got Dean eating chips on. Okay, because I was gonna say if we just like say Dean's here and Dean never makes a noise, people are just gonna think we were making someone up.
Dean is.
We should do that.
Dean is our brother who died.
Ooh. Well, it's a good thing we put a spoiler alert on the front of this podcast because we're getting right into it.
Wait. Also because I hate movie reviews that like try to not do spoilers. Like movie reviews tailored to people who haven't seen the movie. It's a shitty idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a difference between criticism and a review. And most people are looking for a review.
Should I go see this?
When they're checking out criticism, which is what's the breakdown of this movie? How does it work? How do people feel about it at a deep level? Versus, should I do money to see this movie?
Yeah.
Should I do
guess
money?
People like that should just go to Rotten Tomatoes and like judge the score. Like, oh, it's a B-.
Yeah, but what if they take issue with the shystery math that Rotten Tomatoes pulls?
It's like it's all subjective.
You can't numerize a subjective viewpoint.
You can't numerize
but they'll just listen to someone
words.
else's subjective viewpoint.
But it's like Rotten Tomatoes is just like, they have their underpaid interns, like all these websites work with just underpaid interns. Mm-hmm. Just like reading reviews and trying to come up with a number for the review.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying I agree with Rotten Tomatoes MO, but
well then why are you wearing that T-shirt?
Yeah, That says I love RottenTomatoes.com and also racism.
I accepted money from RottenTomatoes.com to wear this shirt.
And
on this non-video podcast.
Hey, you knew we would take a picture. Oh shit! Goodnight Mommy.
Goodnight Mommy. Austrian film. Austrian horror? Question mark?
It's
film?
definitely horrific.
Yeah.
It certainly uses a lot of horror tropes, like, it's a monster movie, but,
But who is the monster?
Yeah, the monster.
Man.
Thanks, Rod Serling.
I submitted for your approval.
Turns out the most dangerous monster is man. Well, it's tricky because it's, the roles of monster and victim get traded between mother and sons.
Yeah, I will say it will become very impossible to not fall into the trap of comparing this and contrasting it with the Babadook.
True.
Well, yeah, because they're both about mental conditions brought on by trauma.
Yeah, they're both about grief and motherhood / young sonhood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the best sort of mother-son relationship horrors. Although deep down, the tone and the philosophy of those two movies are very different.
Oh, extremely different.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they would make a good double feature if you wouldn't want to kill yourself, partway
Yeah.
through
But you should
it.
probably watch Goodnight Mommy first,
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna lie, watching that movie, while it was really good, just took all the excitement out of the room, took all
Yeah.
of the positivity. It was like a Dementor.
Yeah, we
It's like a Dementor if a Dementor enjoyed its job, because I got the sense
Yeah.
there was some rhythm that made it seem like they were really having fun.
Yeah, the
yelling "fuck you" at you.
The movie is very smirking with its horror, or it's just kind of like little fake outs. It's gleeful about that, in a way that the Babadook was only. The Babadook, when it would have those fake outs, it felt like the shuddering, after laughter of tension being released was with the audience. The Goodnight Mommy feels very gotcha.
Yeah, it's like
Look what I'm gonna do to you now.
Yeah.
At its very center, the Babadook is like a melodrama. It's a drama. At the center of this is like the darkest of bleakest of comedies.
Yeah.
It's like a Dante's Inferno.
This is
with Rodney Dangerfield's head laughing.
This is like
in the center of this.
This is like a
not that it's even anywhere near as palatable as Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes. I would not say that this is even
And
comedy.
she couldn't get no respect.
I would say it's comedy in the vein of Funny Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
with a little
some readings of American Psycho.
It seems like somewhere deep down it's concerned someplace with having a minorly good time, whereas Funny Games, if you enjoy any of this, fuck you.
Yeah. Funny Games, the only way to enjoy Funny Games...
they're at least having fun, even if we're not, whereas Funny Games, no one is having fun, and that's the point.
I feel like in Funny Games, even if you think, Funny Games, to an extent, you can have fun watching Funny Games if you accept yourself as kind of in on it, oh yeah, this movie is punishing all the people that want to see a violent home invasion thriller, but I'm in the know.
Yeah.
So I'm with the movie. But then the movie will even fuck you up with just how long it will stay on something.
Yeah.
Or it's it'll just...
Or when it'll start breaking reality apart.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty easy jump to make it first, but then 2 hours of it, and you're like, oh, I've sort of, allowed myself to identify with awful people.
Yeah.
Well, and when you link that movie to its trailer, it's there are certain moments where, because you're trained on those kinds of movies, the kind of movies it's commenting on, it's there are moments where you almost feel like the movie's about to ramp up and it never actually does, and it keeps drawing things out and making things as sort of traumatic as possible.
And when there's the slightest bit of catharsis, it will undo the catharsis, or it will hint at the catharsis and then instantly subvert the catharsis right at the moment where you think it's going to be achieved.
It will, kill the bad guys, and the bad guys will literally rewind the movie and change the scene so they live.
Yeah.
Which is
so
just one of the best scenes ever.
Yeah.
But Goodnight Mommy.
Yeah.
In a similar vein, not as groundbreaking and crazy awesome as Funny Games, but definitely savage tone.
In some, there's a lot of similar genetic tissue between Funny Games and Goodnight Mommy. don't double feature them.
Yeah.
Do not watch them both
No.
back to back.
Don't do that.
Give yourself 5 to 10 years between either movie.
Unless you're spending like a lovely weekend on a lake in Austria, because that would be the best place to watch both of these movies.
Oh, it's just
In a house with a lot of entrances and exits.
Austrian lake
I'm gonna
houses,
spend a few
man.
weeks in desolation. Maybe I'll throw these on.
Austrian lake houses, man. It's like, what is it with the Austrians that are just like, fuck anyone who owns a lake house? I mean, I agree, but come on.
I mean, you know, I grew up in like an upper middle class area of
bourgeois motherfucker.
near the Great Lakes. So tons of people had lake house. I didn't have a lake house. I know it's like a minor.
You proletariat motherfucker.
I come from the underground. But like, yeah, the idea of a lake house is so just like, you know, leisure class and flamboyantly rich that it bothered me so much. Even though I was just below that tax bracket.
Yes. if you buy a lake house, you have to read a bunch of Veblen just to like make sure that you just don't go insane.
To cancel out your economic vote.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing too. Is I don't know, watching this, it sort of starts to highlight. What do you do? Like it's the most useless lifestyle because all these, not that they're like the greatest portrait of all people who live in lake houses, but like, I don't know, you run through the corn a few times, look at a photo album.
Have there been any?
Eat.
I can't think of it. I can think of a ton of like cabin in the woods American horror.
Oh,
movies.
also,
that seems to be the dominant like vacation.
But in Austria, it's just like they do all these like fuck lake house movies.
Well, yeah, and that's what makes me think like.
Wait, Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, American movie, lake house.
I actually never saw it. So.
Oh, it's good.
I don't know. There are like, but I'm thinking like, specifically like the upper class. You know, I imagine like, has there ever been a horror movie that's like this but takes place on Long Island or something, or Connecticut or Newport, Rhode Island or something like that, or it's like a big house, big old white money house, and shit like this happens.
Yeah.
You could now with those
because that seems to be. If I were to, I'm guessing based on my limited understanding.
You're next.
Yeah. I think that's.
But that's in a secluded area too, though.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's supposed to be like it's a secluded area. I'm thinking of what's the American analog for like the upper class Austrian lake house genre that we're slowly discovering. It's not really Cabin in the Woods, because Cabin in the Woods is like it's a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of poor people, and go to a cabin in the woods, and that happens.
Well, that's part of the integral point. But like, yeah, no. With You're Next, it's like all their problems are petty and you know, family politics and like bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like in Cabin in the Woods, it's like, oh, it's all this big like, you know, audience metaphor and sort of horror mechanics and all that. But
I don't know.
You're
I'm
Next
talking about who
is
they're
so
making fun of,
bougie.
because in these Austrian ones, they're clearly making fun of, you know, bougie people.
The
but
privilege,
you know, in Evil Dead, they're just like
Kids.
just
There's
a bunch
kids
of
in
kids
over their
and
heads.
a shitty car. They seem pretty working class. So.
What I want to know is how do these kids who are working class and have a shitty car, how do they afford this cabin in the woods to begin with?
well, Evil Dead, it's not a nice cabin.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a shitty like.
And maybe back in the 80s it was easier
It's
to
like-
own a cabin in the woods if you weren't
And they didn't own it.
wealthy.
They were just going there.
Or to rent it. Or,
Yeah.
It's like maybe they were-
there's
maybe they
no
were-
like due process with this cabin. There's no paperwork with
Were
this
they
cabin. You don't get it.
Were they squatting in this cabin? Did they just know
It's
that
like somebody's
whoever...
uncle's cabin. Or
Yeah.
It was 1980, man. The world was just a different place.
It was Reagan time, man. Reagan just gave every
was
white
morning in
person
America.
a cabin.
Anyway, Goodnight Mommy.
Goodnight, Mommy.
Goodnight Mommy is, you know, some of the scenes in this movie legitimately made me upset, especially towards the end.
When it dials up the violence.
There's some torture towards the end.
Yeah, there's a little bit. There's a smattering, and the torture is like someone had to sit down and think, what would a kid do to torture somebody in kid logic with what they would have available? These kids use an irresponsible amount of super glue.
Yes, they do.
There's
Because-
a lot of super glue.
And I feel like that's
I've
either
never seen a movie with super glue as sinister as this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like, it really feels like, to me at the very least, someone thought, well, they're kids, so, you know, it's like, oh, glue will work. Well, let's just use a lot of glue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's how like a 20-something will just use a lot of duct tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To make a tuxedo.
Or a wallet.
Yeah.
I think they're very pristine and very proficient with their glue and with their tapings.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, I don't know. They kind of lose it towards the end. We say they like it's, well,
he.
interesting. Is it they?
He, they.
All right, so is the Lucas we see in the movie, is that all ALYSSA's imagination?
Yes.
But like,
Well,
does that Lucas really bear resemblance other than just physically? Is he really more the representation of like a dark psychosis rather than like?
That's what I would go with.
Or is it like the
more,
ghost
but-
haunting Elias that's vengeful for no real
Yeah,
reason?
I'm talking about like the character of Lucas in the movie.
Yeah, it's like is it sort of because of the circumstances? Is it just a negative sort of conjuring of of a version of him?
Because in the
Or is like, is this actually how he behaved, or is this because of trauma? It's
or this
just
is really
dark
Elias's
force?
shitty side that he's using.
Having-
The idea of the Lucas goes to enact.
Having never seen a live Lucas in the movie, because, it's like...
What about the beginning? Because the beginning is
They've
that
got
montage
different
of
hair.
them. Yeah, well, the beginning
look
is that
different.
montage of them playing, and then it's just Elias on the raft alone going, Lucas, and maybe because I saw it twice, and then seeing the whole thing, maybe thought maybe that was the accident.
Yeah, that one makes sense.
Because we don't know if this accident that killed Lucas is also the reason Mom had to get plastic surgery. I almost feel like they're not the same. Like the accident happened a while ago, and the mom got plastic surgery almost as a way to deal with it. Like, I can't be the same mother anymore because I lost a kid. I'm also vain and on TV, so I'll get a face job.
I imagine this is what makes the most sense to me in this moment is the accident happens, Lucas is dead, Mom, has some kind of damage to her face post-accident. After however long it takes to heal post-accident, Mom goes in for surgery. Meanwhile, Elias has been conjuring up this spectral Lucas in his head to put, his grief and his loss of Lucas. And then when Mom comes back looking different, and Elias has spent a little bit of time alone with his imaginary Lucas, Mom comes home and it's back to, oh yeah, Lucas isn't real anymore. And that's what I said. Mom is back from getting plastic surgery, and now Elias is forced to really confront that Lucas is gone. And Mom is doing things like not talking about Lucas, not talking to Lucas, not serving him food because he's dead, starting to take down photos that are reminiscent of Lucas. And that's what's making Elias feel alienated, especially because he's starting to butt heads with Mom, and the frustration with Mom is being mounted because she's not being the most affectionate because she's in traction after surgery, and she's really putting her foot down about, no, I'm not going to be nice about this. Lucas isn't here anymore.
Yeah, so that would make sense, I guess, if the accident happened sometime, because there's that thing she says about like I'll start talking to him again, as if she was like placating him before.
Yeah.
At least for a small period of time or something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I would imagine whatever. I don't know. It's like if you made it so that like whatever accident happened is also the cause of Lucas's death, that can explain some of just her demeanor and her wanting to not spend time with Elias, because she's not very affectionate towards him.
Yeah.
Either way.
Because Elias is already... Cause it
And like
the
recoup after surgery could be an excuse,
Yeah.
I mean, it might also be like we're, as the audience, supposed to have all these crazy assumptions about the mom in the first half of the movie. We're supposed to.
They do such a great... the film does such a great job of leading you into just super distrusting the mom.
She's an alien, she's a replicant, she's a pod person.
Yeah.
Well, because it really chooses their point of view in that part of the movie.
But then when it flips and she becomes the victim of Elias / Lucas.
Eli Lucas.
I don't know. I feel like they might have made a few shortcuts in developing the character. Cause like to have a fully functioning character do a split like that, also while being like having just lost a child, it's really sort of a difficult 360 to move.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of the movie Rabbit Hole with Nicole Kidman, which is a really good movie, probably the best movie I've ever seen about a, well, there's Antichrist too, but about a mother
rabbit hole.
About a mother who's lost a kid.
Yeah. Are you saying Antichrist is a great movie about a mom who's lost a kid?
I think the best representation of what that might feel like.
We could get into that.
Well, I think Rabbit Hole is probably better, but it's because it's, the character of the mom is so realistically fucked up.
Yeah.
And in Goodnight Mommy, it's kind of because she has to be a monster and then a victim and a traumatized mother. You know, there's a lot going on.
A lot of fuckery.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
5 or 6 elements to her character almost, which
It's a lot of balls.
doesn't always it doesn't always hold. But I think the cool sequences kind of cover do that well. It's a very entertaining movie.
As I look back on it, there are moments that I think are really actually genius in how they just enough hint at it, so it's it makes sense, but not so much that it's putting a warning, a siren on top of it. Like, there's a part where, Elias/Lucas are suspicious of Mom. Mom goes into another room to take a phone call. She says something about, like, he's going to have to wake up to, he's going to have to face reality, something like that. And you're just like, oh, what is this? Who is this other person? Is it... And, afterwards it's like, oh, yeah, well, that could mean only one thing. Elias is going to have to wake up to the fact that Lucas is gone. So...
Yeah. I think it's also a very claustrophobic movie.
Yeah, for as spacious as the house is.
Well, because it makes just the vastness of how big the house is and how big the land is and how swelling the trees are. Like, everything swallows them up. It's this bougie, nice, wide open space, but there's also nothing there. It's barren.
It's all cold and sterile and so modern. It doesn't feel. It's exactly lacking what the relationship between. Like,
it looks as dead as it must feel to them because she's trying to sell the house and everything. Like, it's a dead place.
It's like the Austrian version of a McMansion where it's so echoey and cold that you can hear anyone doing anything and sort of guess what part of the house they're in.
Yeah.
And that's used to such great effect with the mom stomping around like the big bad wolf coming
and just
to
everything
their door.
everything is so square and boxy and chrome or just like clean white. It feels like a robot as a house.
One almost like sans a few scenes, almost all light is obstructed by something. It's like the light that ekes in through the blinds, or the light that's sort of seeping in from under a countertop or something like that. Like, there's almost no just regular lighting in this movie. It's like light is an enemy unto itself.
Everything feels gauzy, blurred out. It's almost like the funness of an IKEA showroom suddenly is turned so desolate. It goes from like an IKEA living room to the laboratory guts at the end of Westworld.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like the visual side of this movie does so much express. It's very expressive, and it perfectly sort of blends the sort of points of view, because you start out in the kid's point of view and everything is sort of restrictive, and they do all this stuff where they'll hold these long shots where you can't quite see what people are holding or doing out of frame, and it really restricts you in the first half to Lucas and Elias's point of view, and then once the dynamic shifts, now you're restricted and you're kind of always with her, but you can't quite tell what they're doing now. So it's like whoever's not who you're seeing the point of view of is the monster.
Looks scarier.
Yeah.
More sharply lit.
Yeah.
And it's
like even they find a reason to shoot the kids from below always. It's like when Mommy is the sort of antagonist, it's always from below, and then they strap her down, and then power is changed completely visually too.
Even when Mom is shot from above in the earlier half of the movie where it's still very much from the kid's point of view, Mom, she never looks small. She always looks either kind of big and imposing or just sort of monolithic and alien.
Angel of Death.
Yeah.
I think this movie is. There's a lot of bad ambiguous movies out like nowadays, but this does ambiguity very good, like a nuanced ambiguity of what's going on,
occurring.
The ambiguity of what you're supposed to accept in the story at whatever time is the truth.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter of what's Mom or what's Elias, what's Lucas.
Yeah.
What are these fucking people?
Well, now it makes total sense in hindsight that the only person's name isn't that movie partway through the first half, I wasn't sure what the other kid's name was because he keeps saying Lucas, but nobody ever calls him by name. It's like until halfway through or something.
Yeah.
But
and And suddenly, like, you know, in retrospect, it makes sense why Mom comes by and just starts making up all these, like, seemingly draconian rules. Mm-hmm. And then you realize it's, because she's trying to, you know, she's trying to force Elias to move on when he is not doing that.
This needs to stop.
Yes.
We've seen two movies recently where bad things happen because parents are like, dude, you just gotta learn.
Yeah.
Like, Good Dinosaur is like that, too.
Yeah, we recently saw The Good Dinosaur.
Would that be a good double feature with Goodnight Mommy?
Have
a good night.
They live in a secluded place where they grow corn.
Yes.
Dinosaurs grow corn?
Yeah.
The dinosaurs from Iowa?
They have an agrarian culture.
Yeah, because
let's not talk about the good dinosaur.
No, let's talk about the good dinosaur. So when it turns out that
T-Rexes are all ranchers.
Yeah, when it turns out
buffalo.
When it turns out that like Arlo's brother wasn't there the whole time.
Yeah.
There's a character named Arlo. Okay,
the main character's name is Arlo.
Arlo Guthrie.
My dog's name is Arlo.
I know.
It's a great name.
It's a good name.
It's good on you.
Yeah.
It's like a $15 name.
Yeah.
You can get that at the fancy store.
I don't know what it is. My sister's really good at naming pets.
All right.
Of all the skills for somebody to have, my sister is really good at naming pets.
Did she name the podcast?
No.
No. That was
the podcast is not a pet.
I think that was an Aaron and Jerry original because I think you said dank-ass nugs and then I said dank-ass
We
Stubs.
just told the story about how that happened.
No, I know, but we didn't touch upon the actual moment, like where
Nugs became
like
Stubs.
where our tenacious D butt cheeks, met.
I gotta say, it feels almost like I was so interested in this movie because it really did tease what the first half of the movie teased out so well. Because, you know, it's like most of what you see in the trailer is from the first half of the movie where it feels like this is, you know, it's like, and I have friends who've seen the movie that said, the trailer is very deceptive. Because I really was gung-ho about this being some kind of doppelganger, body snatcher type of story, and it very much wasn't that.
Well, I mean, it was just.
It
for the
was
first
in
half.
a way, yeah.
It was, but it was something. It was just
in a more
wearing the skin
metaphorical
and
sense,
something else in disguise. Like it had to, like, the director, I think is a man and a woman. Like, they spent half their time shooting that kind of movie, like making those kinds of sequences,
but they shot
and
that
then
kind
we
of
saw from the monster's point of view.
Yeah, but they shot that kind of movie specifically to subvert it in the second half of the movie. They shot
for decent reasons.
Well, it's like a new wave horror film.
Like I think they earned
like a
it.
Death wave. I'm just kidding.
Blum wave. But
no, I'm saying it's good, but just like to me, I have seen so many. I've seen so many, you know, one character is actually the manifestation of another character's grief. One character is an imagined character. I've seen that many times. I've seen that twist many times. Every fan theory is basically that twist. Every fan theory that BuzzFeed spreads around is, you know, Harry is just
Harry's a mental patient, and these are all his hallucinations.
Yeah, it's like Angelica is imagining all the other Rugrats who are
all dead.
babies who died in different ways, or
that theory. There was some good arguments.
Or you know, it's like
I think this is not exactly that.
Ferris Bueller is a kid that Cameron is imagining to, like, you know, try and motivate himself. What?
Cameron's cool side manifest is Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
But I think this is like, it's not quite that because Lucas existed.
Yes.
There was a Lucas, and throughout the movie,
I'm saying
you see evidence of a Lucas that fucks with you.
Yeah. I'm saying this movie does that better than any other movie. Because
we were comparing it before to High Tension and how that twist is fun at the time, but then holds no water the moment you take it away.
Well, that movie's interesting though because like I've heard a lot of people basically be like, "Fuck this movie." Then I watched it a second time and it's incredible, or the opposite.
Like, I enjoyed it, but the twist is like you know.
Well, the twist, like, it always seems like
suddenly there's nothing in the car. Suddenly there's no gas.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and but the thing that always sticks to me about that movie.
How did she drive two vehicles?
Well, yeah, but it's exactly that though, because I always stick on that because it's like it seems like it really doesn't want to make sense, like actively, like it's going, this will not make sense. Let's do it.
Or it's just stretching it so far, like, oh well. But the thing is, once you just say, here's the thing, unless you
I'm not saying it's like a necessarily a good thing, but
unless you are very strict about it, like this, you know, Goodnight Mommy is very strict about it. Lucas existed. Lucas is dead now. Elias is imagining Lucas as still alive because he's grieving and can't handle Lucas being gone. that is strict and specific, and that makes sense. High tension, on the other hand, is, well, I mean, if she's imagining stuff, then she can imagine anything. Then anything in the movie is just her imagining it.
So maybe none of this took place.
Yeah,
at
basically,
all.
this movie could just be like high tension. Anything in high tension could be imagined. She could, like, the girl could just still be sleeping over at her friend's house, having that unrequited lust for her, and none of this violent rampage happened.
Well, that's why I think Goodnight Mommy is so good, because I don't think I've seen a movie sort of represent that so well, in that they're dressed the same the whole time. They fucking look exactly alike.
Well, and eventually he cuts his hair so that they're impossible to tell apart.
They have like the same expression on their face all the time.
They wear similar masks.
There's the point where they're flipping through the pictures, and it's like, I don't know who's on which side, but, you know, one's using their left hand, the one next to them is using their right hand, and, you know, their arms in the middle, they're not using them, so they just look like a giant two-headed boy flipping through this thing, and I'm like,
Two-Headed Boy,
Two-Headed
Boy, by the way, great song.
Great song!
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of maybe a more uplifting. Listen to it after this.
Actually,
would it be hilarious if they use that over the end credits?
If you play that backwards, it syncs up with the entire movie.
No, because because it's Two-Headed Boy Part 1, then Two-Headed Boy Part 2 and 3, yeah?
Alright, this isn't a Pitchfork podcast.
Okay, but I'm saying it's like the very last...
Give it a 4.69. Not quite a 4.7.
Really, a neutral milk
I'm
motel.
just going to say,
4.69.
Airplane Over the Sea does end on a mournful note, so it'll uplift you, but then it will send you back crashing down the same place you were after seeing Goodnight Mommy.
Well, different ways of dealing with death.
Well, the thing about this movie across the board, like it starts with, you know, like that I guess if you want to call it a twist, like it earns that twist, and it earns just a bunch of other things too, because they do so many. This movie is kind of like
very well choreographed in that way.
Oh yeah.
Oh totally. And as a movie, it's sort of a fun house of tropes and fuck yous, because it's like they do the weird dream sequence gotcha.
Although
they
it's
do
not
all these
very
things.
fun. I mean, it's kind of it's fun in a you know, in a creepy way and in a bleak way. It's not like Cabin in the Woods or like Austin Powers.
It's not fun it's not fun to be subjected to, but you get the sense that they're having at least some enjoyment putting you through it.
It's fun. It's fun in a bleak, gleeful way. The way like Benny's Video is fun in a bleak, gleeful way.
Benny's Video.
Hanukkah, however you pronounce it.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
Michael Hanukkah, commandeer us.
Well, yeah, really, you know.
I haven't actually seen Benny's Video.
Dank ass Stubs exclusive. Aaron, a fucking liar.
Never be able to take anything you say seriously again.
Why did you take?
What if we didn't destroy the patriarchy in the Mad Max episode?
I don't think we actually did, though.
We did. We left the studio and everything. Don't you remember?
Oh yeah, there were those footsteps sounds on the track. Yeah, when we were reviewing Fury Road, we left to destroy the patriarchy.
Okay.
Because we know you've never listened to our podcast.
That was a great cliffhanger, guys.
Yeah.
Still waiting for that part 2.
Oh yeah. See the results, the exciting results on our 300th episode. If we ever make it there. But I think
maybe if the next Mad Max is featuring Bernie Sanders. all like a 2-hour Bernie Sanders commercial.
The next Mad Max will feature Barney Sandler's. And at the very end, it'll be Barney at the top of the fountain, pushing the levers,
giving water to the people,
giving memes to the people.
Barney Sandler's versus Buntane's.
Okay. It's okay, and I've lied about so many movies I haven't seen.
I actually didn't read a think piece, but I saw the title for a think piece about how, you know, it can be valid.
Pretty low for credibility.
Hang on, I saw the title for a think piece that was about how it is sometimes valid to comment and critique things that you haven't actually seen, but you have a good secondhand knowledge of.
But I know I've done it when I really didn't have to.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Many times.
It's like this movie that it seems like it uses a lot of these like horror movie things here and there, but or at least to me, it sort of earns everyone. Like it earns the dream sequence gotcha, and it earns the sort of he's all in his head sort of thing. Like it earns everything at every gimmicky moment it has. It earns, and
it's consistent and it's smart about it, and it never tries to just pull a fast one the way High Tension did.
Yeah.
They were just like
the biggest fast one of all time.
Yeah, High Tension is like, movie's over.
Well, it's like this movie is like, you know, it's a psychological
like
thriller, and, you know, some of that means that whose psyche we are in is going to motivate how the action goes in what scene. But we're all, and High Tension is like, so that means we can do anything. But in Goodnight Mommy, it's like, but we're also dealing with a real physical space and real physical people. So like the way she moves past Lucas in quotation
and
marks,
never
like,
looks at him.
Yeah, and like never glances at him, walks right past him. The way Lucas hands stuff to Elias, especially shitty things towards the end.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that torture scene.
Oh,
I had to look away during that torture scene.
Yeah.
That was actually like...
yeah.
There's glue, as was mentioned.
There's glue.
There's
Scissors.
Scissors.
There's...
I will say for a torture scene, it doesn't pull punches, but it's not as gratuitous as plenty of other torture scenes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well, I think it's
lingers very
on-
tempered.
It
I'm
lingers
glad
on.
it didn't go on for much longer, because I feel like pretty much any longer and it would have been like, oh, it's just an excuse to do a bunch of shitty things at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's just torturous enough.
yeah,
It's no Salo.
Yeah.
it's it doesn't linger on the blood. It's like, I think like the most lingery thing that happens in the torture scene is, so at one point they tape the mom's mouth shut.
No, they super glue. Oh yeah,
Oh,
the
they
one
tape-
that
They
ended
tape
it
mom's.
first.
They tape the mom's mouth shut, but of course, as happens when tape is over someone's mouth, as we all know and
They
from
managed
experience,
to get it off.
Yeah, this
moisture.
the condensation builds up. It the adhesive wears off. But then the kids realize super glue. They super glue mom's mouth shut, but then they have to feed her pizza. Because
Mom, we ordered you pizza.
there's all this frozen food that's been ordered to the house, and so it's like, well.
Did they put that scene at the beginning just to have the payoff in the torture scene of, oh, remember all that pepperoni pizza that dude dropped off and was complaining about?
No,
The distributor requested a reshoot. Where did they get all that pizza from?
This movie was
I think
co-financed by Papa John's.
No, DiGiorno.
DiGiorno, yeah.
But no, I think
We don't have
DiGiorno's
money for
fine
delivery.
salami pizza.
It's not delivery. It's torture.
It's not delivery. It's probably the only meal these children will offer you again.
yeah.
So they try to cut open.
They try to cut open the super glue
With
resin.
like little
tiny-
nail clipping
Yeah, tiny
scissors.
nail clip, but they
and it's
clip her lips.
they clip her lips.
It
and
goes
there's-
on for a
and
little bit.
It gushes, but the thing is, it holds more on the tension of clipping the super glue. And for a while, I did. For a while, I thought, oh, they might actually just get it open. I was like. I had the same feeling I did like watching somebody else play Operation, where it's like, okay, don't touch this, don't touch the sides, don't touch the. Oh no!
You obviously.
Well, that was the difference between like that and a Haneke moment. Is like I feel like if we had just watched the entire sort of bleak process, whereas this one actually gives you a first like reasonably sized splurt and then the rip. Like it gives you both punches.
Yeah, and then there's blood, and
It's
then
a matter of taste.
as someone who has
Literally.
been bound to a
Iron.
bed for several hours and not been able to use the bathroom, and then you get your lip cut open and you're in pain,
Well, and especially like restricted and in a
yeah,
and also still kind of recovering from major face surgery.
yeah
and probably still loaded up on sedatives on and off
yeah.
or painkillers. Yeah, she wets herself. It's almost like just that. It feels like this as a torture scene is just as graphically real as it needs to be, without becoming like, okay, now you're reveling in this.
Well, yeah, because it's not the gore; it's the anguish.
Yeah.
It's the very human.
It's about the pain.
fucked humility of it.
Yeah.
And it's not like the demon child who can do anything. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, if a kid like really resolved to torture their parents, it would probably go down like
yeah,
this, where they
probably.
make mistakes,
Yeah.
and really fuck it up, and
Shit, we should
let
have
mom
used.
piss the bed, and
We should have used the Elmers,
yeah.
Yeah.
or just shut the door.
Yeah.
So yeah, torture scene.
Torture scene.
Ugh. Well, and then the Red Cross comes.
Yes.
Oh, that's before the torture scene though.
That's actually.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause she had the
that,
tape on her
that
mouth,
leads up to the torture scene.
But it's in the tied up sort of
yeah,
chapter of the cinema.
because there's
I kind of found this movie frustrating at first,
really.
because it's great when Lucas or Elias / Lucas leave. I think that opens everything up. But like the first 45 minutes of the movie is just the two and a half characters, three
Yeah.
characters, and I don't know. Because at first I had like this real weird impatience for Elias for taking all the shit from his mom. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm always impatient with like main
People
characters who are
put up
clearly in
with-
toxic relationships. Even if it's a kid, I hold them up to the standard of a.
It's like, come on.
Know
He
your
should
self-worth,
move
man.
out.
Yeah, it's like,
Get your own place, man.
I don't know.
just imagine. I know this is not you, and I know you are smarter dudes than this.
Thanks for the disclaimer.
Yeah, even though, as we established, you're an anti-Semite and a racist and a misogynist.
I'm a smart one though.
Imagine somebody being, but a very smart one and a very witty.
At least you read a few books.
Yeah.
It's not like I
imagine-
had the thought like the kid should really move out. It's just it's
frustrating to watch.
It was more like I was like the writer, like as you know, I'm like mad at the writer for making the character like this. Like I just don't, you know.
So you cannot handle like most Todd Solondz movies then.
That's different
Because every Todd Solondz movie is about like a kid or just like a very weak-willed person just getting shit on for 2 hours.
No, Todd Solondz, and I'm mostly going off of happiness here. That's just like the whole story world. It's not just parents. Their parents are just infected with modern life.
Yeah.
Like everyone does.
You would just hate Welcome to the Dollhouse then because it's just.
Oh, I've seen Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
that one's
just a kid. That's just a kid getting shit on for an hour and a half.
But she's also, you know, I guess, you know, she's a kid. That one was different because it seems like she tries to escape it in her head.
Yeah.
She tries to put up with it where it almost seems like Elias is not putting up with it. But then you realize, like, the invention of Lucas is his way of putting up with it.
Yeah,
He just didn't do it to satisfy me during the first half hour.
Yeah, Lucas is the embodiment of fuck you, mom, I'm not going to take this shit. And then you realize, like I said, in retrospect, mom is bringing the hammer down because she is also grieving and also frustrated with, Elias not, kind of like not moving on.
She got to take care of it for the both of them.
Yeah, not moving on, and making her own grieving process more difficult.
Yeah.
Well,
But
like
at the
they're both
beginning, you
fucking
don't get that whole picture until later. So at first you're like, God, mommy dearest, like this mom sucks. She's so obsessed with herself, and of course she's like a TV personality, so you immediately you're not supposed to trust her because she's so fucking fake.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was cool though because it's like they spend some time being like, maybe this isn't. Like, literally isn't mom, maybe this is another woman, maybe this is a creature, and then you slowly find, like, they trickle you information in a way that, I guess, alleviated that for me, where it's like, halfway through they Google her name, and then they're like, oh yeah, that does kind of look like her, so I guess it is the same person, like, and then I feel like they slipped me, at least, information enough so that it kept developing every
And to be
so
fair,
often.
cinematography-wise and direction and mise en
But I guess still,
scène
why wouldn't he?
wise, they do a
Yeah,
great
so-
job of really visually implying that this is not a person or not not a good type of person.
Yeah.
It's like she's got her, it feels very eyes without a face, and that she shows up and she's covered in these bandages.
Mm-hmm.
She's shot so soft and lit so softly that, and her eyes and mouth area are a little bit, kind of flush or bruised or whatever from the surgery. So it's like
There's some seepage.
she looks like a skull. She looks like just this white void with black other void.
Well, and all
for
the
eyes
lines
and a
of her
mouth.
face are tweaked up because it's just where the tape guides your eyes and where the gauze guides your eyes.
Yeah.
It's like everything is unnatural
Yeah.
in pretty much the opposite way from nature.
And you're scared. Like, you're genuinely scared of, like, seeing what is under the bandages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they do that very brilliantly in a dream sequence where she walks into the woods, undresses, the bandages are off.
Well, the camera kind of swings around. You think you're gonna get a full 180 shot of her face and see what it is, but then she turns away.
Turns her head.
And then there's
she shakes it, super special effects, so it's all blurry.
Her head shakes in like a totally fucked frame rate, so it's just blur, and it's just. Not only do you not see her face, but you don't see her face, and we've done something, so not only do you see her face, but you see all of her in a way that makes her look less human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's a creature.
And then when you finally see her face, and it's kind of like flush or shiny or whatever from being under the bandages, you still are weirded out, and she doesn't feel right.
Because she doesn't look exactly like she did before. She's got some reconstructive plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Couldn't help but thinking of how people reacted to Renee Zellweger's plastic surgery, where she just looks like a different person.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, and imagine being a kid and your mom came
And your
home
mom
and it
comes
didn't
home.
really look like mom.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It
and
kind of looks like mom. People keep telling you she's mom. But
it's
she
that
doesn't look like
uncanny
mom.
valley. It's like something.
It's
Because when
just,
she takes
just close enough to where you don't run screaming from it.
Yeah.
But it's different enough to where it keeps giving you pause.
It makes you wonder, like, what they might have done, like what the makeup people might have done to her face to tweak it, what little things they would have added and
contouring.
And I mean, they always made her look so pallid.
Yeah. And there's just like this kind of unnatural plastic like sheen to her face.
Well, yeah, and it's like her facial features, especially the first time, like her face doesn't really move a whole lot. All
the bandages was just for Botox.
Well, I mean, either way, her face would be stiff, and you could see like during that torture scene where they like are fucking around with her eyes, and I almost like. I was basically like, that probably hurts way more than usual because it's all tender from the series of surgeries right around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm laughing.
And then the mole thing. And then burning on a new mole.
Oh.
And then fire.
Oh, man, that's right.
Yeah.
And then fire in their dead cat tank.
Something I noticed this time around. I watched for the listeners, I watched the first half of this movie earlier today because I thought we were supposed to watch it ahead of time. But so then I got to watch. I've seen the first half of this movie twice now. When
No, it's here at Dank as Stubs. If you're a guest, we will like make you sit your ass down, and watch the movie with us, and you will stay for an extra hour or 2 or 3. So you're brushed up immediately before we go into the barrel.
Okay, I like that. I know.
Yeah,
it's not like timer.
I can't always trust the suits.
No,
to let that happen at every underground podcast I go.
If we watch a movie,
we're
here,
literally in an
together
underground bunker, by the way.
We are. Yeah. We're in a panic room.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Infowars.com.
Yeah. I'm so proud of my very stupid, very fucking obscure joke I made earlier.
Are you proud of your joke?
The Alex Jones one? The fucking...
Fucking.
I made a joke about Alex Jones's colloidal silver filters that he peddles. And I made a pun about puppets and colloidal sounding like the name of the author of Pinocchio. It's a really dumb joke. Don't Google it.
Anyway,
I'm good.
Goodnight Mommy. Something I noticed this time around is when the grocery delivery dude is putting all those pizzas in the downstairs freezer.
Speaking of which, he's not there. He is not there to explain why the pizza is there later. He's there to explain why no one leaves the house to go into town until the kids tear off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
pretty sure it's about the pizza.
It's also because behind who's it? I think it must be Lucas follows. Elias must have let the guy in, and we're seeing Lucas kind of come downstairs and see it. Behind Lucas is like a whole bunch of, it looks like nitroglycerin, like all these like liquid containers with like flammable and biohazard signs and little like chemical signs on them. It's like she's got all sorts of shit in that unfinished basically, all sorts of like powerful chemicals, which is I figure what he fills the dead cat aquarium with at the end and lights on fire.
He just emptied it out their liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
That's all just gin.
Okay.
Everclear's legal in Austria, yeah?
I'm sure they can make it out there.
Yeah. No, what was all
Nobody
that shit?
is coming around to poke around that house except
from the basement, like
maybe that's the thing in Austria.
Ammonia, I don't know.
Maybe in Austria it's like at your lake house you just want to keep a shit ton of chemicals. Maybe they're just way into chemicals out in Austria.
Just in case you track in leeches or something while you're swimming in the lake hole.
Yeah. There seems to be a robust cockroach population around there.
No. It's just Madagascar hissing cockroaches that the kid raises as pets. Which is like, I was saying this during... We actually had this thing where it's like we were kind of Mystery Science theatering the movie for the first, 20 minutes off and on, and then after a while we just got too engrossed to keep up with it.
Because it's a really
then it starts punching
subtle,
you.
compelling movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't call for that sort of thing. I feel kind of ashamed we did.
No, because I do that with...
It wasn't like a 70s B movie.
Yeah, I do that.
Look at this guy.
I do that with movies I like. In the same way, it's like you will rib a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you're watching a movie with several people in your living room. Yeah.
Or it takes a kind of movie to totally inhibit that.
Yeah.
I guess that's a litmus test for a very compelling movie.
Yeah, if it makes you submit.
How long does it take for you to stop joking when you're watching it comfortably?
The STFU factor.
Yeah.
That's a good test. We should There's a way to document that permanently.
I feel like Happiness is one of those movies that will shut down the joshing the movie because the movie will do worse than you can come up with.
But I could still, I don't know, I could have a great, like, I could watch Happiness and still laugh my balls off.
Oh, yeah.
For most of it.
Same, but I can't watch Happiness alone and laugh.
I jizzed.
If
you haven't seen Happiness, you're
you're
missing out
if you haven't seen
a treasure of a movie.
If you haven't seen
jizz.
Happiness, ask your parents.
Yes.
Ask your doctor if happiness is right for you.
I will say it's
long
like
live John Lovitz.
But I was saying while we were still joshing this movie, I did say that, you know, a Madagascar hissing cockroach is a very fuck you pet. It is the pet,
yeah.
It is the pet you have when you don't want people around.
You step up from lizard or snake.
Hey.
Like, the only thing comparable is like when you got pet rats.
Yeah.
When you have pet vermin by many people's standards.
No, but
you're
cool.
Hey, rats.
Oh, Dean fucking talks.
Dean, coming to the aid of the rats.
Cool?
Rats are cool.
I did know a guy in college who had pet rats, and the rats were pretty fucking cool. We used them in a movie.
I will say having
Ratatouille. Starring Patton Oswalt.
I will say
It did look very
having multiple pet rats is probably like bad because chances are you're treating the rats more like a collective pet than an individual pet. But you have one pet rat.
Oh, he had like 3 rats.
Okay, well, that's not.
It was more like
They can keep
hamsters
each other
or
covered.
porcupines or something.
Rats actually enjoy a lot of social activity.
Okay.
It's better to have them in.
It was Dean, our
That's-
wildlife expert.
Yeah.
Dean.
A round of applause for Dean.
No, because
all
like,
the way from the San Diego Zoo.
So Dean, what do you have here? Is this a pangolin? You said?
Well, they have rats at the San
You should have
Diego
a-
Zoo.
You should have a recurring bit
Rats
like
are all
that. We have a
over the
wildlife
place.
person visit, but it's an audio, so you can just find like a sound, like a tiger soundboard, and like a totally fake tiger attack.
Or
Take that.
Whoa,
Jim.
he's getting a little antsy there.
Yeah,
This tiger you brought. Damn it, you ruined it. Now it's like
Oh, that's my shirt. Okay.
it would have been funnier if we actually created that as a bit without prompting it like this.
It's okay. We have complete control over time and space in this medium.
Oh, okay, but no, like
They just gotta listen to every episode to get all the jokes.
Rats are very like intelligent, kind of crafty little pets. It's kind of like having a small
husky.
It's like having a hamster or a porcupine.
and they're
Or a
kind
pet
of
rabbit.
It's kind of like, well, a rabbit is more. Rats are very like, I don't know. Rats are very intelligent. They like do very like little curious things. You know, they have a specific kind of personality and a specific kind of vibe. So it's like having a rat is like having something small that's immediately between a dog and a cat in temperament.
I think a rat's right between a dog and a cat.
Yeah, it's got like the social. Oh, we gotta.
Got some animal sounds.
These are the animals that Dean brought.
Yes. That's some mallard ducks.
That's a duck.
flying around the studio.
Dean rolling deep with the foul
it's
today.
December, so they're going south.
Why are there so many animals in dank ass studios tonight?
Hey man, it's an animal-friendly environment in here.
This is the kid show.
Yeah.
To justify, like a rat is between a dog and a cat because it's got that kind of like gregarious social nature of a dog. But it's got like
It'll bring you the paper and your slippers
The rats
in the morning.
they just like made the rap party afterwards. They like picked up girls. It was amazing.
no, it's like it's social. Like
One of the best nights of
it's
my
social like a dog is, but it's also kind of like intelligent and inquisitive like a cat is.
So adopt a rat at the end of this podcast.
Where's all this evidence?
My sister had a pet rat. I grew up with a pet rat. Yeah, and I had a pet iguana.
That's kind of a fuck you pet.
They're vegetarians. They're super docile.
Okay, cockroaches are fuck you pet to about 99% of the population. Lizard is only like 30-40.
Well, depending on the lizard.
Cockroach is the pet that you feed to your pet.
Yeah, a cockroach.
Wildlife expert Dean, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a cockroach.
But if you have
feeder-
Madagascar hissing cockroaches, like you feed that to your pet if you want it to have a chance to fight its dinner first.
Yeah, it's like
And dinner could win.
I feel like a Madagascar hissing cockroach is the pet you have if you have if you're doing Japanese bug fights. It's like, all right, this year.
25 grand.
No, did you guys see Japanese bug fights? That was a website where they were just pitting small arthropods against each other.
Going there now.
There's a deleted scene where you see Lucas on the phone with some Japanese businessman trying to hustle up.
He's on his phone to
And that's how you can tell Lucas.
Elias's bookie.
That's how you can tell Lucas is really Elias's bad side.
Yeah. He's a degenerate gambler.
Staging these bug fights between estranged fighting roaches.
Just hauling in chemicals to make bombs and shit in the basement.
Or better yet, someone hauling them past him while he's counting money and chewing on a cigar.
Lucas is calling his bookie, who's a kid in his classroom, while he's like concocting chemicals to make a bomb. He's like, "Don't come to school tomorrow."
I wonder was Elias pulled out of school? Why isn't he in school?
It's summer. He said that they start summer soon. Unless he was bold-faced, lying through his teeth to those, Red Cross people all the way through instead of just most of the time.
I mean,
wait, do the Red Cross people ask why he's not in school?
Yeah. He was
okay, then it must be the school year then.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're going back to school soon.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Indian
I was
summer.
gonna say it would be hard to. I mean, you'd have to be like the right time in August for that to be a reliable excuse.
Yeah. But or the right time in January, December.
January.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still in the northern hemisphere. I don't think it'd be that nice outside in January in Austria.
Yeah,
but it
looked
hailed.
pretty.
Yeah,
but it looked pretty summery when the sun was.
That's
out.
right. The seasons were weird. Maybe
Austria's weird, man.
Maybe Elias was really pulled out of school, or maybe in Austria they're only in school for like 2 months at a time. They're on the 12th system.
Yes.
Their
He goes to school once a
is
month.
split into 12
Semester,
tiny
semester,
micro-semesters.
trimester, quarter, 12th.
Well, not to immediately associate this entire part of the world with Hitler, but maybe
Austria and Hitler? I've never heard of such
living
a
up to that
connection.
racism.
Charlie.
Credibility on the podcast.
Charlie giving a big shout out to the H-Man.
Yeah, my boy.
My boy Das Fuhrer.
The Dr. Dre of racism.
I want to be a part of this podcast.
At least of contemporary racism.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I think that might at least on some level feed into this like Austrian lake house like fuck you to rich people genre, because this is where Hitler came from. These are probably the same types of people that when Nazism rose were like, well, at least we have law and order now.
Yeah.
Well, and just imagine if Elias had
But I
grown
don't
up.
assume that every single fucking movie made in Germany or Austria is about the Holocaust, is about Nazism, because they can think about other things.
But think of it this way. I mean, if Elias
Centipede was connected to the Holocaust by some critics.
Hey, just think though, if Elias had grown up and got rejected from art school, what might have happened?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, if he's burning down his mom at a 10th grade level already, who knows where he would be in a few years?
Well, yeah, that's why
Listen, we're displaying right now is Godwin's law that eventually you got to talk about the H-man.
Yeah. Well, it was the
H-man.
The H-man.
The big Dolph. I'm Jewish, by the way.
Me too, but I'm also an anti-Semite.
Also,
It's self-hating.
No comment. I'm part Czech. Does that count?
I'm trying to remember.
You were probably the kind of Czech that spit on gypsies back in the day.
Yeah,
Thanks.
You're probably.
Man.
I'm just
Thanks
giving
for
you
that vote of confidence.
Well, I'm half super waspy, half Jewish, so I'm like the guilt is
just
it's a
strong.
It's a
in this one.
feedback loop.
Alright, yeah.
It's like super waspy and also Jewish. So it's like half of you is saying fuck you and the other half is saying oh fuck me.
I do me and I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Punch you in the face and say help me.
I just love that the most Aryan-looking guy in the room is the guy that like says, "No, I'm out. You guys are talking about Hitler. I'm
You
out."
stuck up for animals at one point, and then you decided to bow out at racists.
Standing up for vermin and not being into Hitler.
You just won the podcast.
And you are the most master race-looking motherfucker.
It's like the guy
know.
who bets $1 on Price is Right.
The guy who bets $1 on Japanese bug fights. Come on, dude. You knew Centipede had crayfish in the bag.
Did you say crayfish? Okay, good.
What am I supposed to say?
We have forged a powerful
people from other parts of the
I'm not from Nolans. It's not a crawdad to me.
But I've heard people from like San
The
Francisco
crawfather.
say crawfish, and I just turned my head.
Conversation is over.
Conversation about bug fights, or which conversation?
Crawfish.
Well, like I said, I think I don't want to because it's kind of a simple American assumption that, like, oh, everything about Germans is a Nazi joke. Like, one of my least favorite things about Eurotrip is they have all these great jokes about Amsterdam, all these great jokes about Paris. The only joke when they're in Berlin is the little kid starts hiling. It's like, couldn't think of any other thing about Germans besides Nazism.
I mean,
it's kind of mean to Germans.
It's kind of
mean bratwurst.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either...
I'm defending the Germans.
It's beer, lederhosen, Tyrolean hats.
They're actually very sweet people.
Oh, yeah, no, I love...
Now they are.
Well, they'll practically pay you to go to school there.
One of my favorite teachers was... learned about, Nazism in World War II in Germany from a German professor.
Adorno was German, and he was with it.
Was Walter Benjamin German?
That sounds Germany.
Andre Benjamin.
But hey, the Frankfurt School was in Frankfurt. Guess where Frankfurt is?
Oh, wait, don't tell me. Kentucky?
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, because
anyway, getting back to Goodnight Mommy, I think, like...
What is that movie?
You were so good at keeping us on track.
It's only because I recognize myself in the digressive attitude of dank-ass Stubs.
Yeah.
But, it could also have drawn upon, like, the Siegfried and the Dragon legend with the mom sometimes, the way she moved with her, like, nightgown. It was very, she's a dragon and she's hoarding the truth instead of gold. I don't know. I don't know how the legend goes.
Hey.
Very vain, too.
The truth is cool. Yeah, just like Smaug.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this is all metaphor for The Hobbit. About how oppressive it was to sit through
which came
all
out
three of those
4
movies.
years before the Holocaust.
Brought it back around. It's all Hitler.
Hey, where's the red yarn? We gotta finish the rest of the board. This goes deep, people. This is going deep.
Guys, what do you think about these new
all the way
hats
back
I
to
made?
Middle Earth.
Do you like the make of the tinfoil?
Reynolds rap,
Good night, Hitler.
It's reflective.
Good night, Hitler.
Good night, Hitler. Gute Nacht, Hitler.
Title of this podcast.
We've decided to change Dank-ass Stubs to Good Night, Hitler.
And our image is going to be Ed Nord from American History X curb stomping Hitler.
We watched that scene in that movie in I went to a private high school and we watched that movie in like a comparative religions class. Well, because like everyone thinks you're a douchey asshole.
It's not like you had a choice.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I went to like a Catholic school, so we watched that in like a comparative religions class, and like all those moments.
I went to a Catholic school once.
Really?
For a fencing tournament.
Oh, fuck you.
I was in a Catholic school for 6 years.
How come you're not a Catholic?
Because he just said he went to the Catholic school for 6-7 years.
All eyes on Dean.
Whose joke was that originally?
I don't know. I did just life experience said anyone tells me they're raised Catholic, I automatically assume they're not a Catholic anymore.
Yeah. I was raised Catholic. Oh. So
they wouldn't say that first. They would just say I'm a Catholic if they were still Catholic.
There's a massive butt coming, and it could be anybody's game.
And I probably wouldn't meet them outside of UCB or something.
Yeah.
But we watched that movie, and they deliberately skipped all those parts. So I've never actually seen the curb stomp sequence, and it was a weird sociology thing because, like, some of us were morbidly curious, but other people were like, "No, show it!" And it was like there was a weird bloodlust in the room.
Yeah,
that was
like,
censorship.
Everybody wanted to see the.
That's funny.
Speaking of Catholicism, there was a creepy amount of religious.
Oh yeah, they showed that crucifix a couple times in the
visuals in this movie.
They were singing a hymn lullaby specifically. They
escape and they go to find a priest.
Yeah,
like they must.
And the priest does not help.
Yeah, the priest just drives them back. Well, I mean, really, the priest is doing the right thing.
Yeah,
we just think he's doing the wrong thing. We think you were returning the Hansel and Gretel to the belly of the beast.
But the sextant guy was very unhelpful.
Hey, he had sweeping to do.
What's that called? The caretaker-y dude?
I don't know. Sexton?
He's the sexton.
I don't know.
Because I called him sextant, like the nautical instrument.
No, sexton.
Oh, that was X-S-E-X. Sex.
Sex.
So it's like a ton of sex.
Now that guy sweeping
that
up...
10-minute sex interlude.
That guy is sweeping up the church part.
Did you guys
sleeping up dead ass.
Did you guys think for a second that after the priest brought the boys back and like met the mom out in the pouring rain, that the priest was just gonna like try and fuck the mom, like try and pick up on her, or she was even gonna fuck him
For half a second.
Am I just
No, but when
seeing sex where it doesn't belong?
No,
Is he a good
the
Catholic?
only place sex belongs is in the word sexton. Because that's the only man.
If you're writing sex, it better be followed by TON, or you are in trouble, mister.
In service of the cleanliness of the Lord's floors.
That man, the guy who sweeps up a Catholic church, he is the only man allowed to have sex.
Because he's earned it. Nobody wants to spend time on this
Just
dusty
imagine
ass
an
floor.
old-timey village where there's just an elected official whose job it is to be the one guy who has sex in the entire town.
You know, you can come back, tell all the people what it was like. Everyone would be a lot
That's
more
Francis. He's the town fucker.
It's like the minstrel.
I'm the fuckest.
He's the town fuckest. You can often find him in the tavern chatting with our resident bard.
Yes, I am trained in the carnal arts my father passed down to me from his father before. Somebody has to do the job, you know.
I went to the Cardinal College in the Capitol Hold.
I am a bachelor of carnality. For a second there, I thought that scene could have turned into like a Bitchin' Road movie where, like, you know, Elias locks all the doors and then Lucas just hits the gas and they just go.
Yeah,
know,
I was thinking like they lock the door because the priest sells them out, and I'm just thinking, oh, are the kids gonna try and take off in the car? And it's
I think the movie was already bleak enough by then, where, you know, if that happened, they wouldn't even make it to the end of the driveway.
Yeah.
They would just like go into a ditch, and it would just
so
mommy
drive
looming
into
over
the
them.
lake.
yeah. And I will say this: when they were driving back to the house, and the priest was being very stoic and like very clearly disengaged, either because he's a non-actor that was hired Strozek style and just had that like very stiff Strozek extra type acting, or just because, you know, he is playing it as he is telling the kids things are going to be okay, even though he's clearly doing the opposite of what they want. I thought, he's acting very weird. Don't tell me this is going to go into a molestation thing, because that's
we
just,
got Hitler on the Austrian movie. We got molestation in the priest scene.
I'm just saying, like,
They're on all the worst associations.
listen, I'm just like, this is a movie where there's a lot of torture, so
Yeah.
that gets you in a mindset of what other bad things exist in the world.
And this movie clearly does like to make its characters and us all squirm.
Yeah,
You know,
But I
or
will say-
just feel bad.
but my mindset is.
Do you think they used the use of religion in that film just to make you squirm?
Well, no, I think it's
Just
like
to-
the.
just
I
to
think it
make
just
you
doesn't
uneasy
help them,
because-
and that's.
Because
Yeah.
every time it came up in the film, it wasn't really for any significant importance to the plot. It
yeah,
was just like
I think
some
it sort of just came.
atmosphere.
I think it just sort of came to reinforce, like, the fervor of Elias's belief in Lucas,
Yeah.
to the point where at the end, you know, there's a shot of the mom lying in the bed that looks very crucifix-like.
Yeah. That's true, because her feet are bound. They're
Yeah,
not
her feet are- yeah, they're-
she's
they're
not
bound
starfished on the bed. Her feet are bound.
Yeah.
She
And you
is-
think that, like, and it's the crucifix is shown above his head, and that's just where he got the idea to, like, that's his most present image of
Well,
what
and
someone
even-
bound up
even
looks
her
like, is the
arms
crucifix
are
that lords over
splayed
his own bed.
Up,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's also at the very end, you know, Elias / Lucas walk through the cornfield and meet heavenly, angelic, glowing version of their mom.
Yeah.
And they all join hands into the song, but it all feels very creepy because this was born out. Because
You got what you wanted in
Or
the
maybe
worst
I'm just
way
afraid
possible.
of religion, and I just thought all of the religious moments were just creepy.
No,
I was-
I think it's a creepy. It should be creepy because
I was-
evangelicals' idea of what heaven is like is very creepy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, you could almost
I
draw
like
that as
that-
some kind of metaphor. It's like they
I like that.
they
click
actively
hole.
seek. They go to a church. They actively sort of seek the aid of religious folk, and it puts them right back at square one.
Yeah.
You know, it exactly does not help.
Yeah, and I think I couldn't tell if it was Lucas or Elias, but there's a bit where the kids are praying at some little like shrine,
No.
and one of the kids makes the other one kneel instead of just sitting on his shins.
It's probably Elias. I
Yeah, it was
imagine.
probably Elias sitting
telling
on his
Lucas.
Yeah,
And then
and Lucas makes him, you know,
yeah.
get up. So it's almost like
It was like a mental reminder to himself. Oh, I should do that.
yeah.
Well, and with religion, it's like that makes Lucas all the more
it's that fervor.
attainable. It's like because it allows you to believe that person is still there and not just gone.
Yeah.
You know, in some capacity.
It's the life after death.
Yeah.
I I'm pretty sure a couple minutes ago I said, without realizing of the pun I was making, I said the crucifix lords it over him.
I will say that. I feel
Which is what crucifixes are meant to do.
Crucifix Lord sounds like it would be the name of a interesting metal band.
Yes. To lord is a great verb, to lord it over.
Crucifix
Sung
Lord.
by Lord.
Yes. The Lord gets into death metal.
Hey, I think she's done a little bit.
Really?
Well, she was in something much more rocky when she was younger.
Yeah. Like a boat?
Oh.
Yep. Sit down. Sit
Jack
down.
Benny here.
That was a weird
boat
pop-up.
humor.
Hey, I got a whole sexton full of boat jokes.
What if boat humor back in the day was like hack comedy the way airplane jokes are today?
What's the deal with hardtack?
Dudes who lived in like harbor towns but never sailed would just
like
make
in the
tons.
19th century.
Yeah.
What's the deal with the poop check?
Now that is a
You don't poop on it.
Now that is a character that needs
These
to be added.
scurvy motherfuckers.
Now that is a
here.
character that needs to be added to the next adaptation of Moby Dick.
Jerry Seinfeld on the Pinquat or whatever.
Pequot.
On
Or the
Cabinet Heads.
pinafore,
Yeah.
depending on what your preferred boat media is.
Can you believe this, scurvy? I got no teeth. I got no gums.
We need to
Horseless
have a
carriage.
sketch show for these.
I swear, these whale steaks got more marbling in them than a Colosseum.
Than an Imperial Russian palace.
Just, 19th century humor, boats and empires.
Well, if you like that, you should watch Another Period. It's great.
Yeah.
Show an episode to John. It's like
Yes.
turn of the century.
I've been dying to go
Jokes
back to
like that. Like,
I've heard tell of Another Period.
you fucking love it. So many historical jokes.
I just love that we're in an age where it's like, we have a whole series of Comedy Central that's just history jokes. It's like, what? No, people don't care about that shit. That's why the History Channel doesn't even have history on it. It's Duck Dynasty.
The History Channel is based on a true story
almost
channel.
At any other time in the history of television, show like a regular TV, not documentary TV show, not History Channel show about history actually works. So I think the History Channel should make like AMC and like start doing original programming that's like, I don't know, Stars has all those like pirates and Spartacus and like historical epics.
And
feel like we got an
Netflix
opportunity
had
here.
Marco Polo.
Yeah, I think.
Dude, didn't the History Channel try to do that with Jesus?
Yeah, but
They did the 300 version of Jesus.
no one takes the Jesus TV
And
movie
they had-
seriously.
And they had Bible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is the one
That's
with
the only
Jeremy
two they could get the money
Sisto.
for.
Really. Because I think the guys running History Channel, it's a very Christian husband and wife. Maybe just
Maybe once they die, we can make it like subversive and have like Boardwalk Empire on the History Channel, stuff like that.
when they die, the History Channel will just become like
The Howard Zinn Network.
yes, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's like, you want to know the fucked up truth of what really happened?
It'll just be the ugly shit that happened during Quantel Pro.
Just watch it and feel terrible about everything you stand upon today.
Right on.
America, and it's just this brutal.
Welcome to the Guilt Network.
It's like the America series just starts with just like 3 hours of brutal indigenous people genocide,
And then just a couple slides worth of epilogue just explaining all of what just happened.
and then there's a bunch of other shit, and then it cuts to present day.
Like an 8-hour miniseries about the Filipino theater of the Spanish-American War. Imperialism. Real.
Real.
It's a party.
Maybe this is just me, but it's like, I was raised in a household where religion was just like, a thing. It was like skateboarding. It's just something other people do.
Yeah.
It's something you
that's
do
a
when you're
phase.
young, and then you don't really expect
No,
to
it's not
make
even
a
that. But
career
just
out of it.
it's like being religious was like, I don't know, being religious.
Another thing to do. It wasn't.
No, it was just like
this
being
thing that
religious.
transcended all of your day-to-day
Being religious was
experiences.
just like being a lawyer. It's something that other people have as like the center of their family, but just not something that's in my family at all. So I guess maybe I don't have Dean's like, oh, maybe there is sort of like a creepy undertone with religion going on in this movie, because just to me it's like, Religion? Oh, that's that thing next door, right?
Yeah.
It's like
I get the sense that
it's that thing that comes that
The
sometimes knocks.
creepy neighbor next door.
Yeah, religion is
Ned
just like
Flanders.
Yeah, religion is just Ned Flanders. Just like, oh, it's that guy. Okay,
well,
cool.
Which is probably an accurate picture of most religious people, but
Yeah.
then there's the people who take it too far, and yeah.
Yeah, like Martin Luther. What the fuck is that about?
You know, I
Nailing
was
shit to
I was
doors,
reading
property.
Vandalism.
not to be racist, but I was reading some Martin Luther, and I think he was onto a few things. I was actually listening to an interview with Father John Misty, who was apparently like raised by like pretty strict evangelical
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of that
You do
music.
not. You do not buy that as being his current viewpoint in the way he writes lyrics
no,
now.
yeah,
You
no,
can
but
almost
he's
tell
like,
the dudes though who were raised in like a repressive religious environment because they're always
Isaac-
like very sharp, very verbose, and very sort of
Like Isaac
raw.
Rock.
Yeah, Isaac Rock too. Which
Yeah.
and that's a fucked up story. I mean,
oh yeah, he
he had a
had it hammered home. Whereas I think Father John Misty and his parents have actually kind of reconciled, and they're not as insane anymore. But he makes this point about like Protestantism and evangelism kind of in general, that it all started out with kind of the best intentions, shifting away from the Catholic Church, like faith in practice, where like you stay good in God's hands by doing the rosary and confessing and stuff.
And-
Whereas the Protestant attitude was like, it's just more about your frame of mind. I mean, that leads to things like, you know, that leads to awful things, but it's also kind of truer, I think, that it's all about your attitude.
I feel like it almost seems like every great philosophy, like great new cultural movement comes with, no, but we got to change our mindset about this whole stuff. And then it doesn't work because people just don't change their mindset about that whole stuff.
And, or, you know,
Well-
changing your mindset starts to be filled with a bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and everybody like it's hard to actually change, and it seems like people more just gravitate directly toward the people they can kind of agree with, and just form communities off of that, and then batter anybody else who doesn't agree.
Religion, folks.
Yeah.
Play first,
Coming
eat
soon
later.
to a theater near you. Coming soon to own on Blu-ray and DVD.
Hey man, the 3D conversion's pretty good.
I will say this about Goodnight Mommy. I liked it. It's good. It's well done.
But is it good night?
It takes place at night a lot of the time. I like Goodnight Mommy. It's got the tone and the feeling and that alienated, sparse vibe that really attracted me to it, watching it. And it's got that paranoia and that tension that, you know, the trailer promised.
The breakdance sequences.
When it changes and it becomes and it shifts and now the kids are scary and the mom is empathetic and you see the twist of what's really going on, it almost like the movie morphs before your eyes and becomes a very different movie that's more human where it was cold earlier.
Yeah.
And I will say there are you know, it's like there's the movie that this actually is and the movie that I thought it was going into it. And you know, it's like I have seen plenty of movies that are the same as the movie it actually is, where it's the twist is, you know, a character is imagined. This is about somebody not, you know, forming a delusion based on, you know, not getting over a grief or a trauma or a you know, a psychological deficiency or psychological illness. I've seen that movie in many iterations, many times over. This is one of the best movies of that kind, and I'm glad that if they went with that twist and they confronted that twist instead of it being like a, again, high tension where it's like, we'll just wrap this up with like that.
High Tension isn't really a psychological movie
At all.
Well, yeah.
And I think
Outside of just the idea that, you know, it's like unrequited love is just like a vicious fat guy in coveralls.
but it's really easy to draw that line.
Well, and High Tension's more
Exactly,
of a giggly
it's-
movie.
Besides High Tension, what I mean is that I think a really good psychological movie shouldn't really make sense. Like, you can't sell that. You can't make a trailer of that. Like, it's supposed to be the whole thing. Like, can't imagine what trailers for Mulholland Drive look like, or like.
Neither can I.
Like,
Because Mulholland Drive is a movie that very much hinges on you having a discussion with yourself about the movie outside of the movie.
and it's,
Goodnight Mommy has that conversation in the movie about what it is.
Yeah, but you can't even begin to like suggest the whole the scope of the conversation in a trailer.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when I think the trailer
Trailers
for this movie,
suck, is my point.
They do, but I think
they
this,
work for
Yeah.
generic movies. They work for movies that.
Like,
I had that thought during this movie
can
that
be
was
truncated.
I discovered-
and that's not necessarily a bad movie, but
I
it's
discovered-
not psychological. I feel like psychological movies are in conflict with the trailer
marketing
Yeah.
model.
But I feel
Yeah.
like as a trailer, like I feel like they gave me it. I had that moment partway through where I was like, "This is not the movie I was expecting it to be," and then I was like, "Well, what was I expecting it to be?" I don't really know. I just know that it feels like what they sold
Yeah,
to me,
it-
which is like the best case scenario.
It does
almost.
have the tone and the atmosphere and that paranoia and that tension that I wanted. It does have that down really well in pat, and there is just real artistry to the way in which this is shot and constructed. And
Oh yeah, the composition and
Yeah,
the
every
shot progression was beautiful. It was like a melancholic Edward Hopper painting.
it was like a washed out
Wonderful.
Edward Hopper painting with like way more low key lighting.
Yeah.
And there,
That was Dean, our art historian. Let's give him a hand up.
You're the most sophisticated
Dean-
person on this podcast. Right?
Dean actually brought some hoppers in from
Hopper.
from the Mocha,
And we're going to talk
alongside-
about them now.
Yeah, it's like so. This is
Everybody,
this is gas station. Yeah?
get your Google image searches out.
No,
Yeah.
just listen.
Just listen to our rousing
gas
descriptions.
station, and
This is a lighthouse on a
should be
nice grassy
Be walking
field.
around the Getty right now. And we'll
This
be
is-
your
We can see just the
tour
edge
on
of the
tape.
coast.
yeah, and it's being held by a baby sloth. Aw.
We just need the little Walkman stations where you press 22 and then you listen to this blurb.
No, so
I like it specifically.
speaking of which, there were a
messing
lot
them
of. They did a really great job of just filling the house with paintings and art that all were just about obscured, ghostly, non-human, humanoid images. Like, there's this big painting in the living room of the house that's just a black silhouette of a person reaching out one arm.
Well, that
towards the
fucks with your
window.
perceptions.
Can I really like it because those pictures, those out of focus pictures, would have been like hack ambiguous shots in a shittier version of this movie.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
so many shitty like psychological indie movies that just make something blurry, and this movie's almost like making fun of them. Like, oh, look at that! Wouldn't that be funny if we like showed that if we were seriously
there
just
were
showing
a
her
few
blurry
shots-
to suggest that that's her obscure identity?
There were
Yeah.
a few shots in the film where I felt like they were mocking old horror tropes.
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
Like when he's under the bed
Yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
reaching for him. That's just,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they play him under the bed and him reaching for him and picking up shit she dropped. They play it almost for laughs because
Yeah.
it just looks so comical and so like
Yeah. It's like
clumsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
But
is.
then let's reading the scene further. Her reaching under the bed. The classic thing is the boogeyman reaching out of the bed. Who's really under the bed? Elias is. He's the monster.
dank ass stuff.
Dank ass stuff.
I will
See, it earns all those moments with
Yeah.
that level of thought, you know.
but I will say, I kind of.
I just want to knock over the microphone right now.
podcast over, pack it up, it's done.
I will say,
I
like,
want to shut everything down.
I want to see that good, and maybe I have
The
to watch.
self-destruct sequence, we're done here.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the first half of our newest Dank Ass Stubs episode. I hope you're enjoying yourself. We will be back in just a couple days with the exciting conclusion. So until then, be well, stay dank.